Hi, I'm Mike Nadock from 98 Rock.
And I'm Dave Donati from Soundcheck Magazine, and we are here at the lush estate of Mike Nadock. You've been wondering what he's doing with all that money he got for writing that song, Angeline Is Coming Home. Well, he done bought himself a
Bought me a
semi,
truck. Yes, indeed.
got himself a house, got himself a compost pile.
Got me an ant farm.
And we thought that we would host this very special 1 hour Cellar Full of Noise featuring the Badlees from the estate of Mike Nadock.
That's right. So sit back and enjoy him. Badlees special. WYLN TV Cellar Full of Noise.
Big truck.
Big truck.
In the ground. Luther's windows are littered with nothing, crystal, a picture, a dead body stage, a dusty white curtain, the nose prints of a dog, a shot glass collection from his truck driving days. Luther's bedroom was hot as an oven there. That's still his old forgotten bed. And a cage on the dresser, there's a parrot that talks. But her name over and over is all that it says. Turn your back to the sun, you see only shadows. Look beneath the stars, you see only nights. Like a homesick sailor, standing in the window, watching the world run by tonight. Luther's hands once held a chain, the keys to a home in a blue Chevrolet. Now lives with his mother, steals all her liquor, chain smokes and stares at the ceiling for days. Turn your back to the sun, you see only shadows. Look beneath the stars, you see only nights. Like a homesick sailor, standing in the window, watching the world floating by tonight. Watching the world floating by tonight. Luther sitting by himself on the sofa, his head bowed down, but his eyes are open wide. Having a one-man revival with an electronic Bible, listening to the parade going by. And the bass drum is pounding, and the trumpets are bleeding, and he's reading a verse from St. John. A sugar line seeps through the blinds. Luther pulls down the shade until he makes up his mind. Turn your back to the sun, you see only shadows. Look beneath the stars, you see only nights. Like a homesick sailor, standing in the window, watching the world floating by him tonight. It's floating by him tonight.
Hi, I'm Dave Donati from Soundcheck Magazine, and I am joined by Alan Stout from the Times Leader. Thanks for coming by, Alan. And, of course, the 5 members of the Badlees. And my usual co-host, Mike Nadok, who is an honorary Badley for this episode.
I'm on this side.
He's on that side of the microphone. We're going to interrogate the guys and find out what's been going on since you came off the road. I guess it was in December or so.
Yeah, I guess we came off in December and kind of, everybody's kind of been catching up on life over the last couple months, as well as getting songs together for the next record. And we've been doing some rehearsing, some playing some of the songs, but not a hell of a lot. We've really been taking as much time off, to live life.
When you say catching up on life, for you, what does that mean?
Babies, marriage. I'm getting married. Babies everywhere. Other people getting married as well. So it's all happening this year. It's
Wow.
a good year for it.
Wow.
The war is over.
Exactly.
Babies everywhere.
It's the Badley baby boom.
Yep.
Yeah, really. It's
We
good
need,
year.
we need, Brett said this, it's like we only are procreating because we need somebody to carry our stuff.
Yeah, right.
We get older.
Well, getting back to what you were saying, Pete, about working out songs. In previous years, for previous records, you guys were playing a lot in the clubs, 5, 6 nights a week, working out songs. You guys are known for tinkering your songs a lot. Has that affected the songwriting process this time? Because your River Songs tour was playing River Songs material. You haven't had the luxury to really do that with the new stuff. How's that affecting the writing?
Really, like the songwriting, really, you write songs kind of for an audience of one, so it really hasn't affected the songwriting. As far as not playing live hasn't affected the songwriting. It might affect the arrangements and the way the band sounds when there's a new record. But we still like to get things out, out on the road and in the clubs and play it out. And
Right.
I don't think that will be that much difference. I think that we'll still flesh the things out.
As far as the time frame goes, you mentioned that you're writing. What is the possibility or the time schedule for a new album?
We're going to try and have it out by the beginning of February. So we'll try to have it finished up by October, September, somewhere around there. And then it's, that's one thing with, that's so different for us is the timetable. When we were doing records independently, we, would start records probably 8 months after finishing the last one, start work on the next one. Now it's, the entire year of 1997 we've been off the road and just writing, which is, it's a luxury and it's nice to be off the road. It's just, we would have liked to have a new record out probably a year ago.
Mm.
Are you guys looking at studios and producers or anything like that yet?
Yeah, we've narrowed down producers. A good friend of ours, Joe Alexander, who mixed the River Songs record, is going to help us co-produce this run with us. And as far as studios, nothing's been booked yet, but we're going to try to do it up in Bearsville, which is up in Woodstock, New York.
Right.
That Bearsville is a pretty popular studio.
It's a great environment up there at Woodstock. I've been up there many years ago, and these guys just went up and looked at it not too long ago. The studio is fantastic, and just the whole atmosphere up there is great.
Mm. So will you actually go up there and say live there for a while, or how will that work?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at probably 3 weeks, a month to do the actual basics. We're not going to take a real long time to do this record, but yeah, probably live up there.
I was driving up here and I was listening to some of the old songs in the car, trying to think of some questions to ask. And one thing I realized about your material is a lot of it's very narrative, third-person songs. There's not a lot of Badley songs. In the tradition of Springsteen with songs like Bending the Rules and new stuff like Battle of Dick and Jane and even Luther's Window. Have you always been storytellers before you were songwriters?
Well, it's an aspect that I like to work in third person and imagery and that kind of thing. And to string images along, create vignettes, and if it works into something, if it coheses into something like a narrative, if it makes a lot of sense, then I'll go with that. And a lot of the stuff that's going to be on the new record is a lot of narrative form. In fact, most of the songs are in narrative form, story form, a lot of imagery and that kind of thing, playing off things, working on a couple different levels. So that aspect of it's really, really exciting.
We're not that interesting, personally.
To write about
To
ourselves.
write a whole record's worth of material.
Just make stuff up then.
Brett, you and I talked a few weeks ago, and you mentioned that the next Badlees album will probably contain the most Alexander Nadok collaborations that a Badlees album has contained for some time.
Mhm.
Why?
Well, a lot of it is because we really wanted, we always, you know, our records were always kind of a potpourri of what everybody was writing, you know, and we really wanted to put together a record that was really focused and a real narrative style of record, and that's definitely, you know, one of Mike's fortes. And it just, as we started putting together material, that just kind of felt right, and that's kind of what we went with.
A lot of the new stuff and some of the stuff we had in back catalog that weren't used before that might fit this were a lot of narrative songs. And so take those out and work, and if they fly, they fly, and if they don't, they don't. But you see how they go, at least in basic demo form of that when you're working on them.
It's kind of a lost art in a lot of ways, in a lot of popular music these days anyways, that really narrative imagery, you know,
Yeah.
type of songwriting. You don't see that as much, a little bit in country music, but not as much in popular music, and we kind of felt we were pretty strong at that kind of thing.
There's a guy sitting in the back row there who's always good for a few zingers on an album. Jeff, have you been writing at all?
Yeah, I wrote a couple, 2 or 3 songs.
You did?
Yeah, got a couple. So
Will any of those surface on the new album at all?
no, they suck. No, we're maybe we're just the kind of the way we approach things. You know, it's you know, really democratic. You know, we just kind of, you know, and this album in particular is not going to be like you pick the best, you know, 10 or 12 songs and put it on the record. We're trying to get like a vibe where it just all locks together, you know, like 10 songs or 12 songs that really fit together. So whatever those 12 are, you know, that'll be the record. And so.
Don't move. We'll be right back with more from the Badlees on WYLN TV Cellar Full of Noise.
Hit the pause button.
Hit the pause button.
Leroy, get me another beer.
That's right, Leroy. Make yourself useful. Well, welcome back, and while I take some driving lessons, you stay tuned and enjoy more Badlees and WYLN TV Cellar Full of Noise.
Here they come.
That's right.
And here we go.
Here we go.
Blow the horn.
Well, where's the horn?
Oh, it's over there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He at KFC wore salad clothes and smelled like turpentine. Talked a lot about his art with a spitting image of Ernest Borgnine. They found
looking ahead a lot here on this, in most of this stuff we've been talking about so far. But let's look back. I mean, you guys were out across the United States for, a good year. What happened out there? You have some road tales. I mean, Pete told me the story about the first time he saw the video in a bar somewhere. Why don't you share that with the folks, or any of you guys that have a story from hearing Angeline somewhere in an elevator or something like that?
Well, I have to set this up properly because we had just done the video. This was our first big budget video. And we had worked with Anthony Edwards, who is an actor on ER. And so there were all these expectations. I think the record company had certain expectations. And I remember getting the first rough cut of the video and sitting there watching it, and it just sucked. I mean, like, we all sat around, we looked at the TV, and you can always tell with us.
Men respect candor.
You can always tell around us that if nobody says anything right away,
Pretentious.
it usually means, oh, gee. So we had just seen this, we saw the video, and by this time we're so X amount of dollars in, we didn't have the luxury of being able to just say, forget it, let's just do another video that makes sense. And so we had to go with this video. Okay, they're spending all sorts of money on promotion, so here you go. Okay, so
Farty.
Yeah. We knew that it was going to be on, right? They told us it was going to air for the first time on Crossroads. And so the illustrious hotel that we were staying at didn't actually have cable. So I walked across the street with one of my friends and asked them if they'd turn on VH1. And so here I am, and I always thought that in my head I would have this great feeling if we ever, got an MTV or got on VH1, just to see your video next to Sheryl Crow's or next to anybody like that. So the video, it was the Dave Matthews Band, and then our video comes flying up. And it was an incredibly empty feeling because you're up there, I'm sitting there watching something that we didn't believe in at all, you know what I mean? And this was the country's first glimpse of us, really. And so I'm sitting there staring at the TV, all these things are going through my head, and the guy next to me is sitting there looking at me, looking at the TV, looking at me, looking at the TV, and so he's like, "Hey, is that you?" And so he was nice enough to buy me a drink, which that was the best thing I got out of the video.
You got out of the video, sure. Well, it seemed like the Fear of Falling video, which was probably done for a lot less money, captured the essence and the spirit of the band much better.
I had a slide presentation that I had worked up to capture.
Mike narrated it.
Mike narrated. They were
A snapshot from practice 8 years ago that captures the band much better.
Proper
and the funny thing is that we weren't the only ones that felt this way. Everybody from the label, went and watched this rough cut with Anthony Edwards in the editing studio, and they just could not believe what was. Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, it's nothing against. Okay, it is against somebody. I mean, like, he's an actor. I mean, like, we got kind of suckered into the whole thing. That was, the amount of press that we got out of it was great, but when you have all that press and you can't back it up with any substance, it's kind of useless.
Right.
It's interesting. Brett was on our show a year ago by himself. I think you guys had like 3 days off, and understandably the rest of you wanted to kick back, but Brett, ever the worker bee that he is, came on down, and I asked him a question on that show that I want to ask the rest of you guys. We have bands on here every week that are extremely talented, and a lot of them have a lot of potential. You guys have played that game, and you're where they want to be. What kind of advice do you give them?
Obviously, to just keep going. The only reason that, we got here is because we did things ourselves. I mean, nobody ever came to us and said, we love this about your band, or we love this about your band, and I'm going to make you guys big stars, or I'm going to give you guys a recording contract. I mean, we had to prove it to them, that the people were out there that wanted to hear our music. I think that you can never lose when you're doing it, for yourself, and because if nothing else, you amass a fan base.
Mm-hmm.
So just do your own records and continue on and continue writing and just plug away. I mean, when we started doing this, there were no cover rooms. I mean, there were no original rooms here. They were all like cover clubs that we were just going into and just doing our thing. And Yeah, a lot of it was horrible.
Well, it's grown from that too, even with Cellar Full of Noise that I do on the radio.
Right.
Brendan and I talked about this, that about 5 or 6 years ago when we began writing, there was next to nothing out there with people doing their own projects.
Right.
And now, with technology being the way it is, it's much easier, it's much cheaper to make your own record. I get discs in that are of excellent quality that you
Right.
wouldn't have had maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So if that's what it started, or if that led to that you can do your own thing and
Yep.
have a better attitude about doing your own thing and doing it well.
There's a band that just got a record deal, Fuel, from Harrisburg, that did their record, that got them the record deal for like, $1,000. All on, they did it live one night at Soundcheck, on ADATs, and, so you don't have to spend a tremendous amount of money, and it's almost better if you don't, because you got to live, you got to survive as well.
A lot of times, too, what happens is if you get found too early, before you have time to develop your sound and develop your vision, if you want to call it that, or whatever you want to accomplish, what your focus is. If you get a deal too early, the industry will tend to round off all the things that are interesting about you in attempts to make you fit into a mold. So, I mean, you have to stand for something. It's good to know what you stand for ahead of time, so it's good to have that little farm club of the old independent thing to
Sure.
work that out.
Life as we know it is coming to an end. A suburban catastrophe. It's time to start mourning the death of a friend. You're standing in front of me, and I can't stop the hatred that wells up inside as I look for a glimmer in his vacant eyes, and I can't do a damn thing. I can't feel a damn thing. The hole in my heart that's 1,000 miles wide. It's the smile as left his face. The portrait of happiness can't trace. Gone is the love that once lived there. It's cold as a stone. Laid out before him, trembling hands, but the parts don't seem to fit. And the 34 winners haven't left him as cold as this one conversation did. And I don't understand, with eyes open wide, how you see love so clearly. It still leaves you blind. And I can't say a damn thing, and I can't stop this woman from pushing him aside. It's a smile as left his face. The portrait of happiness can't trace. Gone is the love that once lived there. It's cold as a stone, cold as a stone. Oh, yeah. Cause a smile has left his face. The portrait of happiness can't trace. Gone is the love that once lived there. It's cold as a stone, cold as a stone. The smile has left his face. The portrait of happiness can't trace. Gone is the love that once lived there. It's cold as a stone, cold as a stone. Oh, yeah. Hey,
Just an observation that I've made since you guys got your record deal and since you've been on the major label, and I think Alan would agree with me that it seems that this area's sort of aversion to original music it has been lessened, and I think people are a little bit more receptive to
Yes.
original bands. You guys, whether or not you agree with it, I think that you guys had a lot to do with that. What's your feeling?
Thanks. I mean, you know, we didn't set out to really do that, nor do I believe that. I mean, we all believe that there were these songwriters out there before. You know, like you said, I think that it's just come full circle a little bit. Well, now there's a bit of an audience for that. And I don't know whether we had a part in creating that. I don't know.
A lot of the stuff that we had to do to make a living and play in clubs and everything, you know, a lot of bands get into the thing where they play covers every night, and it gets to be a comfortable thing.
Right.
But and we had to do a lot of stuff and try to entertain in different ways to, you know, keep crowds coming, get people out to shows and everything. And kind of a lot of bands have seen that, you know, you can throw your stuff in there and like do your thing and start off small and everything. So I just like on the club level, not even recording, you know. Although a lot of bands, most bands do at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a great thing, and there's a lot of places to do stuff around here, like, you know, studios, and, you know, people buy their own stuff, and,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
so-
not a situation anymore where you have to be near a large metropolitan area to make your own
Right. There's-
recording or to get the
It's almost better if
exposure.
you're not. you
Yeah,
know?
It's a little counterproductive, you know, like, you get in there where all the competition is, you know, and you kind of lose any identity you started with, you know, you kind of.
I have a friend of mine lives in Philadelphia who is from this area, who comes home quite frequently, and he insists that as far as original music goes, now excluding national acts, he feels that the amount of talent is actually better in northeastern and central Pennsylvania than it is in and around Philadelphia for original music.
There's just something about the city vibe that is just so oppressive, you know, to bands. We have friends that are in Philly as well that have been playing there for probably 9 years now, and you know, are still beating their heads against the wall trying to get 50 people, 60 people to come out to shows, you know, to get anybody to listen to their recordings.
Why do you think that is?
You know, I don't know. Just getting to travel the country and go to a lot of these cities, spending time, you know, in New York and Los Angeles and Chicago and St. Louis, and you usually find a lot, you know, the cooler, more creative people, like, you know, out on the fringe.
Hanging out, yeah.
A bit.
Seems to me that we said this for the longest time, that we tried to play Philly and New York's a lot harder. You know, we do the little tiny clubs, but it seemed to us that Philly was really a tough nut to crack. And I think it's, you know, it kind of is unusual because some of those cities that Pete just mentioned actually do have a lot of things going on, and people do just go out to bars and and there's like rabid music fans. Like St. Louis is a great example. It's bizarre. When you know, first time we
Great
played
town.
there, yeah, it is great, because first time we played there, you know, like people come out and are into it after the show and keep coming out every time we go back to St. Louis, you know, 5, 6 times.
It's an ironic thing about the music business is much of what happens is based in the media centers, New York, Nashville, L.A. And, well, pretty much all three of them are the people making those decisions are very trend-driven, you know what I mean? And it's kind of a fishbowl in a way. And it's a big old country out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's a great thing about the indie explosion over the last 6 years is you can be from anywhere and build up a fan base. And, you know, we really kind of enjoy playing the smaller, medium-sized markets and cities. And people tend to be more, you know, they're not so much, you
Yeah.
know, as you are in New York and industry
Yeah,
people.
I know myself from doing this show now for a year. I think some of the best music I've heard, most of the best music I've heard in the last year, is bands or acts that have appeared on this show that I wouldn't have otherwise known about.
Sure, absolutely.
And they're all from this area.
You can do it more around here. It's not putting up with the stigma of being in Philly or New York, where you, like what he said, what Brett said, it's a pressure or a fishbowl situation, and you can take your time. You have more of a gradual attitude around here. You don't have to rush, or it doesn't have to happen at a certain time like it might be put upon you in New York or Philly or Los Angeles or even Nashville. Hang in, more from the Badlees special from WYLN TV, Cellar full of noise.
Stay right there. All right, Mike, let her rip.
No, not yet, no! Oh, oh, oh!
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put some salve on it.
Just a flesh wound.
It'll be
or
fine.
something.
Yeah, it's
It'll
okay.
be okay before you're married. It'll be better before you're married.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Hang in. Stay tuned. More from the Badlees. WYLN TV, Cellar full of noise.
Coming right at you into your house.
Mm-hmm. Sure you're okay?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Last night I dreamt of flying on hillsides in the snow. I dove down through the clouds to the valley down below. As the fields turned into parking lots, my freedom turned to dread. The ground rose up to greet me. I jumped up out of bed. You can fly, fly, fly off to anywhere you choose. You can try, 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 but eventually you'll lose. It seems there's always something trying to bring a good man down. I have no fear of falling, but I ain't hitting the ground. Searching under my sofa, I find some extra change. Thought that I knew everything changed. Now I'm standing on an island that's in into the sea, and all that I can do is just enjoy the scenery. And you can fly, fly, fly off to anywhere you choose. You can try, 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 but eventually you'll lose. A man in sweet soft music just before he drowns. I have no fear of falling, but I ain't hitting the ground. I have no fear of falling, but I ain't hitting the ground. Yeah. You and I have politics where there's lines that we don't cross. We live happily ever after inside this little box. Just can't take a lion and throw him into a cage and expect him to be thankful for the shelter that you give. You can fly, fly, fly off to anywhere you choose. You can try, 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 but eventually you'll lose. The more you try to cling to me, less I'll stick around. I have no fear of falling, but I ain't hitting the ground. I have no fear of falling, but I ain't hitting the ground. I have no fear
expect to see you guys out at all in '97 in Northeast PA doing any shows or Central PA? I mean,
Yeah, once in a while. We're playing, it's nice to get out and play every once in a while to, like, you know, of course stay in contact with the fans and your friends out there, but I don't even, I mean, you know, once in a blue moon we're playing, you know, like maybe once a month or twice a month we'll be out, you know, gotta pay the bills.
Sure.
Do you miss that at all? After being on the road for 18 months, do you?
No. I think I'm speaking completely. No,
Miss
I don't
the
miss it.
road?
I don't
Yeah.
necessarily like being on the road. I mean, it's. I don't know if anybody does. There are parts of it that are great, but there are parts of it that, you know, you spend so much of your day, you know, in a van, uncreative, sitting in a hotel room, sitting in like a horrible little cold dressing room. I mean, it's the hour a day that you love. You know, you love to play music, obviously, but it's so little of your day anymore that I think all of us, kind of after the past 2 years, you know, you almost turn off creatively.
Money man is gonna carry us. The corporate end is gonna bury us. We had convictions, we'd be dangerous. Don't want the creed to guide our consequence. Don't want the shadows casting darkness on our future sins. They'd make a killing, but we're making sense. With the last great act of defiance, will to preserve us well. Heaven or hell, we're gonna know we left our mark. Can't live a life that pushes thorny crowns. No New York minute's gonna tear us down. You and me here with the guts of this town. Well, with the last great act of defiance, will to preserve us well. Heaven or hell, we're gonna know we left our mark. Yeah, yeah. Don't want no heart attack like my old man. 53 and up on a sea to where my mother lived. They never paid him back for work alone. Company man, but they couldn't give a damn about what he had to give. Yeah. Another evening on the Stockton Road. June Bland's form, greatest story ever told. I'll spin all the cards they haven't thrown. With the last great act of defiance, will to preserve us well. Heaven or hell, we're gonna know we left our mark. Heaven or hell, we're gonna know we left our mark.
that leads to another thing. Everybody knows about it. It always leads to something else with me. Pete,
Yeah.
your thoughts about Mr. Nadok? Sincerely.
We'll look at it.
We'll look at it.
Well, look at me.
For Christ's sake! He speaks. I mean, I love Mike. I mean, like, Mike is, as far as I'm concerned, Mike is one of the most brilliant songwriters that we've ever run into, whether it be hearing, meeting, or working with. You know, he's just got a great gift to be able to do that. And I know he doesn't necessarily think that. He just writes what comes out. And I think, you know, most great artists are like that. I don't know if, I mean, couldn't see Mike developing a giant ego over the next couple of years. But, you know, I'm thankful he does what he does, you know.
Well, when you see him in a big pompadour and
In my fur
a shiny gold tuxedo.
Well, they were the first people that really took me seriously as a songwriter. Nobody else really did until I met Terry, and I met Jeff first, and then I met Brett and the songwriting process and that kind of thing. I learned infinite amounts from Brett in terms of playing, in terms of chording and everything else. So whatever I'm doing now, as far as whatever's developed, I owe to the whole band. Because they're the first ones who really said, well, yeah, he's got something, and somebody else might have not really paid much attention to it.
Cool.
So that I'm eternally grateful for.
The Baron's house exudes a reborn air. The bathtub virgins in the midnight air seem to smile in celebration. What an intercession. All the nerves are washed away. All right. Resplendent in dignity. Angeline is coming home. Resplendent in dignity. Angeline is coming home. I fantasize of clean and home again. The quintessential referee of pain. Well, just to keep from going crazy while the cracks are cleaner. And how that fantasy sustains. Resplendent in dignity. Angeline is coming home. Resplendent in dignity. Angeline is coming home. Yeah, the beautiful acquaintance, life desire has inspired me to level unseen. True admiration for someone who's made it back. The hell she was in, the hell she was in, the hell she was in, the hell she was in. When do I see you? What's said when I do? Do I let fantasized ideas come through?